Video, we're going to be talking about graphing lines, specifically in lines that are in slope-intercept form. So remember, our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So our first step when we're given an equation of a line in slope-intercept form is to first find a point on the line. And in slope-intercept form, we're given our y-intercept. That y-intercept is always the point 0, comma b. The next thing that we need to do is use the slope to locate other points on the line. And remember that our slope, when we're given an equation in slope-intercept form, is always our m, which is going to be our rise over run. So when we look at our first example here, we have y equals 3x minus 1. The first thing we want to realize is that we have a minus here instead of the addition sign like we usually have in the formula. So to help yourself, you might want to change that to plus a negative 1. So the first thing we want to pull out is our y-intercept, or a point that we can graph. So we would have 0, comma negative 1. And we can go ahead and plot that on our graph. So that point would be right here, 0, negative 1. Then in order to plot other points on our graph, we want to find our slope, and our slope is going to be equal to 3, that's our rise, because we're actually going to have 3 over 1. So we have a rise of 3 and a run of 1. So we want to plot at least one more point, if not 2, so we can connect those points to draw our line. So starting at our point that we had, our y-intercept, we're going to have a rise of 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then a run of 1, so we go to the right 1. We can put a second point at that spot. Then from that second point, we can rise 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and then go with a run of 1 again, which would put us here, and we can now have a third point. The last step that you need to take is to connect those points to create your line. Now, you want to keep this as straight as possible. If you have a ruler or a straight edge, you could use to help yourself, because as you can see, mine's not perfectly lined up. You want to make it as perfectly lined up as possible. But there's our line. You can go ahead and pause this video and give example number 2 a try. So looking at example number 2, we have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. The first thing I notice is we already have addition, so we don't need to worry about our y-intercept. We can pull out our y-intercept of 0, comma 2, and we can go ahead and plot that on our graph. So we start at 0, we're going up 2, our y-intercept is right there. Then we look at our equation, we have our slope of negative 2/3. So what we want to do is use our rise over run to plot more points. So if we want to follow our negative 2/3, one way we could go is have a rise that is down or negative. So we would go 1, 2, then we would have a positive run, 1, 2, 3. We could have 1 point there. The other way that we could go is starting at our y-intercept, we could go up and have a positive rise of 1, 2, then we would need to move to the left to have a negative run, 1, 2, 3. One way to make sure that you check yourself is as you draw your line to connect your points that you just located. Remember, we had a negative slope value, a negative m value, so our line should be showing us that we had a negative slope. It is going downhill. So we know that we graphed our points 2 and 3 correctly. The last example then, we have y equals 3. So if you notice, we don't have an mx part, we just have our b. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, comma 3. We can go ahead and plot that, 1, 2, 3. And then our slope, since we don't have the mx part, our slope is going to be 0. So We don't have a rise or run. Remember, when we have a slope of 0, that is always going to be a horizontal line. So we have a horizontal line on y equals 3. Again, that was bad. I'm going to give that another shot here. Try to see if I can have a straight line. Mostly straight. So we have our horizontal line with our slope of 0 on y equals 3. Make sure that you watch the next video on graphing lines that are in point slope form.